Hi, St Simon's. Welcome to our midweek thought. Cameron just asked me to share something about prayer. It was interesting that his talk this Sunday was about our forthcoming month of prayer in May for the whole church family. And just before that service, I sat down to write an email to our youth group, and what really came to mind was about the only thing really that came to mind was about praying this last few weeks. And for me, that's been feeling quite hard thing to do. I felt really overloaded with the responsibility to pray. So many things seem so urgent and in need of prayer at the moment. And when it came to sitting down to do that, I found I was almost paralysed by all the many things that needed covering, but also a sense that this time of I was on furlough from work would be a really important time to invest in my spiritual life and to really get ready for any needs afterwards, after we come out of this time of lockdown. So the sense of significance and importance was almost too much, and I ending up finding it really difficult to pray at a time when it seems so important to do so. But as I shared with youth on Sunday, just in a really short email, I have actually been reading a book that I ordered when lockdown looked imminent because I'd seen it and it seemed to be something that's so relevant. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by an American pastor called John Mark Comer. Some of you may have read it, some of you have heard of it, but he talks about how our lifestyle is obviously full of hurry, but that how often as disciples and followers of Jesus, we know his teachings and we know about the miracles and we know about his life, but we don't necessarily follow his lifestyle. And how do we become apprentices of Jesus, which is the word disciple, is another way of translating that, to become an apprentice. And one of the stories he focuses on is Mary and Martha, and when Jesus goes with his disciples, 12 of them descend on the home of Martha for dinner unannounced, and Martha gets very upset because her sister sits down and listens to what Jesus is saying. As many of you will know the story in Luke 10, and Martha feels that's really unfair, and that she says to Jesus, you know, can't you tell my sister to come and help me make the food and get ready, make the preparations. I love this story. I've actually read a book all about those two different personalities, and another layer of interest to me recently is that to sit at a rabbi's feet would be to promote yourself as a woman to the status of a man, equal to a man, that you be allowed to sit and learn. Anyway, Mary does this. She sits at Jesus' feet, and Martha, her sister, gets really cross with her. And Jesus turns to Martha and says, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed, and your sister Mary has chosen that, and it won't be taken away from her. And this book really focuses on that line, only one thing is needed. And for me that was really liberating, to think that just amidst all the responsibilities, spiritually and otherwise, to make this time of lockdown really count, it felt very liberating to hear Jesus' words that actually only one thing is needed, and that one thing is just to sit and to listen to what Jesus has to say. So now my prayer times have been much more about sitting and listening and just seeing if I can hear what Jesus has to say to me. And it's not a new concept, it's just one that's new-ish to me, and something that I found incredibly refreshing and restoring over the last few weeks. And as well as that, I found that after sitting and just trying to listen and hear God's voice, that then the prayers, they flow a lot more easily out of that sense of his presence, his love for me, his comfort in all these times that he understands. But I think it's especially a time when we've all been forced to stop hurrying, spiritually, physically, socially, in so many ways. And I just wanted to share that thought, which I hope encourages our prayer lives over these next few weeks, that we are called to just sit and listen, and that is the one thing that is needed. I hope that blesses you, and I hope to see you all really soon.